Hey everybody, welcome back to Late Night Drive. Um so we did our endurance, we did our uh what do you call it? We did our highway driving, right? Now, let's do let's do what I usually do when I go out in the middle of the night. Let's go let's just go around the neighborhood, you know? Yeah, that seems about right. We're in my actually I can show this now. Uh, oof. We now are in the car that matches my, it's hard to see because it's dark, but we're in the car that matches my overlay here. Oops, that's reverse. Here we go. But yeah, this is what you do, right? It's the middle of the night, you go out for the drive, go down to the main strip. Gamers, have you ever a car? Here's my neighborhood that I know and love with all of the materials missing. Um and also, this is what you do when you're in the quiet suburbs. Is we're gonna go out here. See, we want to do it this way because we can make right on red up here. But yo, check it out. Nobody's around. Because what we want to do, you gotta stop in here. Make sure you're fully gassed up. Okay. Uh, wait. We can actually do this. I forgot. This game has a walking mode in it now. All right, hey, get out. Oh, I forgot to turn my lights off. Oh, okay, I guess I gotta walk around the back of the car. Ugh. Uh, Whoop. Why am I going backwards? Hey, video games. All right, you go up to this thing, you go beep boop boop, glug glug glug, and then you get back in the car. Whoop, let's reverse again. Why am I forgetting that? But you see, you need to gas up for an important reason. Because the best thing to do in the middle of the night is to just have your own personal drag race challenge. I have absolutely gotten in through the hatch of a car before. Okay, that's 60. That's 70. That's 80. And that's the end of the real road, so that's about how fast we go. Ugh. Then. Hello. That wasn't there last time we were out here. Let's go find out what that is. Okay. All right. That's I think that's the uncompleted part of the highway. Yeah, no. This lane. This town is left on red as well. It's fine. It's also straight on red. Listen. So there's a ramp on this side, right? Mm, listen. They haven't finished the highway yet. It's fine. Wait, where's even the normal ramp? Oh, this is normal ramp. Okay. Go over here. Then let's get out there. I do like taking the roads that are like the highest local point in an area. There's a creamery by us that's super popular with the locals, and I'm not a big fan of that. But those those are burger vans. Gosh, these are burger vans. Uh,
Hey, what can I get you this evening?
um, yeah. Hi, I'll take 2 cheeseburgers.
Two cheeseburgers? Okay, will that be all?
Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Thank you.
Alright, pull on up.
Oh, okay, okay. I guess that's why there's 2 vans. Oh, wait, yeah, no. All right. Yep. Thank you very much. I got my burgers. Okay. Hey, I'm glad they put in a burger van up here. Oh, it's a weird spot for it. Normally they put like food trucks in places and not in the no texture zone, but happens. Oh, is any of this irrational? Okay. Okay. All right, well, let's go find a place to eat these. Oh, can I remember how to get there? It's actually been a little while since I drove these particular roads. Is this still a road? Hey, now there's lines. That's a road. There's one thing I know. If there's lines, there's road. So we wanna go this way? Good. I missed the on-ramp. Somewhere there's an on-ramp that we didn't take. So again, if you're like me, uh then the ideal place to loiter and eat a midnight burger is in a high school parking lot. Oh, okay. It's a little mad at me. But you just hang out here and give it one of these. I'm glad this place I'm glad this new truck moved in because last time, you know, we did this stream and my body was like, "Oh, we're going out for a late night drive. So we're going to get burgers at the end." And I didn't. But this time it worked out. Hmm. Hmm. It's nice. You get to enjoy the quiet. Try not to talk with my mouth full. But, normally I would have like, you know, the stereo turned up. I'd have the speakers going. Subwoofers. Fantastic. If you've never tried subwoofers, oh, chef's kiss. Um, but we're on Twitch, so you can't play like music. That's not allowed. Um, so here's what I've come up with. Um, this is why I got big into talking about podcasts before. Uh, I'm pretty sure. So road trips, right? we can't do music. Um, we might be able to like get permission to play podcasts, but this is a goofy stream where I do bits. I'm not at the stage of asking for permission for things yet. And even then, sometimes that isn't enough. Uh, but the other option, if not podcasts, audiobooks. Let me tell you about LibriVox, which is public domain audiobooks. So it is like public domain, like it is books that have entered public domain that volunteers are reading, and then the audiobook versions are also released into the public domain. Um, so since it's public domain, we should be able to listen to those on a stream. I think that works out. Thing is, like, I don't know much about books that are in the public domain right now. So I started looking and I found A Modest Proposal, the book about sarcastically, what if we ate babies? That's probably a good idea. Um, Although they also have Don Quixote, which is interesting because that's something that I've actually wanted to listen to for a while. Um, so I'm thinking, see, that's the other thing. Because like, I know it's late. I know not everybody has the sort of late night fortitude that I do. So if we're at a point where like uh I'm out of topics to rant about, then does that mean we've hit the point in the night where we just start listening to stuff together? Like I'll go back to driving around the roads, but like if y'all aren't in the mood to chat, am I moving backwards? Is it because hey, why moving backwards? Game? Um Cloud speed. Yeah, now we got something to look at. Not quite that fast. Um Now we're talking. Um No, it still wants to move backwards. They said they improved the walking mode. Made it buggy in a different way. I don't know if that counts as an improvement. Um but yeah, I was talking about what last before the break I was talking about late night talk shows. Things that are sick of being what they are. Anime podcast for people who hate anime and podcasts. One of the best podcast taglines I've ever heard. Um yeah, I don't know. How about we do that? It's in the it's in the desktop mix, so y'all are gonna hear this.
LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit
Oops.
LibriVox.org. Recording by A.R. Dobbs, San Francisco, May 2006. Don Quixote, Volume 1, by Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra, translated by John Ormsby. Dedication and chapters 1, 2, and 3.
That's reversed again.
Dedication of Volume 1. To the Duke of Bejar, Marquis of Gibraleon, Count of Benalcazar and Benares, Viscount of
Like honestly, if this works, then if I decide to change back to
in belief of the good reception and honors that your
an
Excellency
overnight
also
like
as so inclined
continuous 24-hour extra life stream.
who by their nobleness
Boy, that's less than a year away, huh?
I have determined bringing to light the ingenious gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha, in shelter of your Excellency's glamorous name, to whom, with the obeisance I owe to such grandeur, I pray to receive it agreeably under his protection, so that in this shadow, though deprived of that
Okay.
pernicious ornament of elegance and erudition that clothe the works composed in the houses
High
of
school parking lot. You gotta
it dares
pull some donuts.
ignorance in the judgment of some who, trespassing the bounds of their own ignorance, use to condemn with more rigor and less justice the writings of others. It is my earnest hope that your Excellency's good counsel in regard to my honorable purpose will not disdain the littleness of so humble a service. Miguel de Cervantes. Volume 1, Chapter 1, which treats of the character and pursuits of the famous gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha.
Nice.
In a village of La Mancha, the name of which I have no desire to call to mind, there
No, what I just do?
well-bred.
Mm,
To every the author's way of ending his book with the promise of that
what I do? Oh,
the high heavens that of even the management of his property. A very early riser of those who know. It dares appear with assurance in the judgment of some who, trespassing the bounds of their own ignorance, use to condemn with more rigor and less justice the writings of others. It is my
I think we did hear this part already, but
Excellency's good counsel
yes.
with regard to my honorable purpose will not disdain the littleness of so humble a service. Miguel de Cervantes. Volume 1, Chapter 1, which treats of the character and pursuits of the famous gentleman Don Quixote.
Oh, right. I don't have my feet to control the pedals. This is going to be interesting.
Of La Mancha, the name of which I have no desire to call to mind, there lived not long since one of those gentlemen that keep a lance in the lance rack, an old buckler, a lean hack, and a greyhound for coursing, an olla of rather more beef than mutton, a salad on most nights, scraps on Saturdays, lentils on Fridays, and a pigeon or so extra on Sundays, made away with 3/4 of his income. The rest of it went in a doublet of fine cloth and velvet breeches and shoes to match for holidays, while on weekdays he made a brave figure in his best homespun. He had in his house a housekeeper past 40, a niece under 20, and a lad for the field and marketplace, who used to saddle the hack as well as handle the bill-hook.
A lad.
The age of this gentleman of ours was bordering on 50. He was of a hardy habit, spare, gaunt-featured, a very early riser, and a great sportsman. They will have it his surname was Quijada, or Quesada, for here there is some difference of opinion among the authors who write on the subject, although from reasonable conjectures it seems plain that he was called Quijana. This, however, is of but little importance to our tale. It will be enough not to stray a hair's breadth from the truth in the telling of it.
Why did you spend so much time on the name?
Know then that the above-named gentleman, whenever he was at leisure, which was mostly all the year round, gave himself up to reading books of chivalry with such ardor and avidity that he almost entirely neglected the pursuits of his field sports, and even the management of his property. And to such a pitch did his eagerness and infatuation go that he sold many an acre of tillage land to buy books of chivalry to read, and brought home as many of them as he could get. But of all there were none he liked so well as those of the famous Feliciano de Silva's composition, for their lucidity of style and complicated conceits were as pearls in his sight, particularly when in his reading he came upon courtships and cartels, where he often found passages like, "The reason of the unreason with which my reason is afflicted so weakens my reason that with reason I murmur at your beauty." Or again, "The high heavens that of your divinity divinely fortify you with the stars, render you deserving of the desert your greatness deserves."
Is this what simping sounds like?
The poor gentleman lost his wits, and used to lie awake, striving to understand them, and worm the meaning out of them, what Aristotle himself
He liked it because it confused him. Gotcha.
came to life again for that special
I
purpose.
I also have liked things for that reason.
Crazy about the wounds which Don Bellianis gave and took, because it seemed to him that, great as were the surgeons who had cured him, he must have had his face and body covered all over with seams and scars. He commended, however, the author's way of ending his book with the promise of that interminable adventure, and many a time was he tempted to take up his pen and finish it properly, as is there proposed, which no doubt he would have done, and made a successful piece of work of it too,
Of
had
course.
not greater and more absorbing thoughts prevented him. Many an argument did he have with the curate of his village, a learned man and a graduate of Siguenza, as to which had been the better knight, Palmerin of England or Amadis of Gaul. Master
Oh,
Nicholas,
like
the village barber,
K night, not like
neither of them came up to the
after the afternoon and evening night.
and that if there was any that could compare with him, it was Don Galaor, the brother of Amadis of Gaul, because he had a spirit that was equal to every occasion, and was no finikin knight, nor lachrymose like his brother, while in the matter of valour he was not a whit behind him. In short, he became so absorbed in his books that he spent his nights from sunset to sunrise,
Now, like his
his days
nights.
from dawn to dark, poring over them. And
He
what
spends his nights reading about knights. Got it.
reading, his brains got so dry that he lost his wits. His fancy grew full of what he used to read about in his books, enchantments,
I'm sorry, he's got a bad case of dry brain?
wounds, wooings, loves, agonies, and all sorts of impossible nonsense. And it so possessed
Oh my
his
god.
mind that the whole fabric of invention and fancy he read of was true, that to him no history in the world had more reality in it. He used to say the Cid of Roy Diaz was a very good knight, but that he was not to be compared with the Knight of the Burning Sword, who with one backstroke cut in half two fierce and monstrous giants. He thought more of Bernardo del Carpio, because at Roncesvalles he slew Roland in spite of enchantments, availing himself of the artifice of Hercules when he strangled Antaeus, the son of Terra, in his arms.
Oh, son of the Earth Goddess.
The giant
When he
breed
touches the ground, he marshals his forces.
of the giant breed, which is always arrogant and ill.
I never thought that would come up.
He alone was affable and well-bred. But, above all, he admired Reinaldos of Montalban, especially when he saw him sallying forth from his castle and robbing everyone he met, and when, beyond the
Robbing?
seas, he stole that image of Mahomet, which, as his history says, was entirely of gold. To have a bout of kicking at that traitor of a Genelon, he would have given his housekeeper and his niece into the bargain.
Okay, so good. So the only women listed so far have
He hit
been
upon
turned into bargaining chips. Got it.
no man in this world hit upon, and that was that he fancied it was right and requisite, as well for the support of his own honor as for the service of his country, that he should make a knight-errant of himself, roaming the world over in full armor and on horseback in quest of adventures, and putting in practice himself all that he had read of as being the usual practices of knights-errant, righting every kind of wrong, and exposing himself to peril and danger, from which, in the issue, he was to reap eternal renown and fame. Already the poor man saw himself crowned by the might of his arm Emperor of Trebizond, at least. And so, led away by the intense enjoyment he found in these pleasant fancies, he set himself forthwith to put his scheme into execution.
Tell me about unpleasant fancies.
Was to clean up some armor that had belonged to his great-grandfather, and had been for ages lying forgotten in a corner, eaten with rust and covered with mildew. He scoured and polished it as best he could, but he perceived one great deficit in it, that it had no closed helmet, nothing but a simple morion. This deficiency, however, his ingenuity supplied, for he contrived a kind of half-helmet of pasteboard, which, fitted on to the morion, looked like a whole one. It is true that, in order to see if it was strong and fit to stand a cut, he he drew his sword and gave it a couple of slashes, the first of which undid in an instant what had taken him a week to do. The ease with which he had knocked it to pieces disconcerted him somewhat.
So he made it out of cardboard, and then he's like, let's see if that works. And it's just, no.
On the inside until he was satisfied with its strength.
At least he saw fit to test it. You know what?
Try any more experiments with it. He passed it and adopted it as a helmet of the most perfect construction.
Let me not test it again. It might break.
His hat,
My God.
which, with more quartos than a real, and more blemishes than the steed of Jonela, that tantum pellus et ossa fuit, surpassed in his eyes the Bucephalus of Alexander or the Babieca of the Cid. 4 days were spent in thinking what name to give him, because, as he said to himself, it was not right that a horse belonging to a knight so famous and one with such merits of his own should be without some distinctive name.
Dog, you made your armor out of
To indicate
cardboard.
what he had been before belonging to a knight errant, and what he then was. For it was only reasonable that, his master taking a new character, he should take a new name, and that it should be a distinguished and
Okay, let's not walk around. That's just broken.
the new order and calling he was about to follow. And so, after having composed, struck out, rejected, added to, unmade, and remade a multitude of names out of his memory and fancy, he decided upon calling him Rocinante, a name to his thinking lofty, sonorous, and significant of his condition as a hack before he became what he now was, the first and foremost of all the hacks in the world. Having got a name for his horse so much to his taste,
Hack must mean something else in this concept.
and he was 8 days more pondering over this point, till at last he made up his mind to call himself Don Quixote, whence, as has been
And he made his own name. Okay.
veracious history
Hey, listen, it's 2021. Everyone is free to choose their own name if they don't like the one that they were given originally.
recollecting, however, that the valiant Amadis was not content to call himself curtly Amadis and nothing more, but added the name of his kingdom and country to make it famous, and called himself Amadis of Gaul, he, like a good knight, resolved to add on the name of his, and to style himself Don Quixote of La Mancha.
There you
Wherein,
go.
he considered, he described accurately his origin and country, and did honor to it in taking his surname from it. So then, his armor being furbished, his morion turned into a helmet, his hack christened, and he himself confirmed, he came to the conclusion that nothing more was needed now but to look out for a lady to be in love with. For a knight errant without love is like a tree without leaves or fruit,
Great. Okay.
without a soul.
I pulled up Don Quixote, not Don Juan. I thought.
If for my sins or by my good fortune I come across some giant hereabouts, a common occurrence with knights errant, and overthrow him in one onslaught, or cleave him asunder to the waist, or, in short, vanquish and subdue him, will it not be well to have someone I may send him to as a present, that he may come in and fall on his knees before my sweet lady, and in a humble
I mean, I do like that
voice say, I am the giant
he's not just some horn dog. Well, he's horny for being a knight, I guess.
vanquished in single combat by the never sufficiently extolled knight Don Quixote of La Mancha, who has commanded me to present myself before your grace, that your highness dispose of me at your pleasure.
Excuse?
Oh, how our good gentleman enjoyed the delivery of this speech, especially when he had thought of someone to call his lady. There was, so the story goes, in a village near his own, a very good-looking...
It's like, well, what kind of a knight am I if I don't have a queen wife to simp for?
Though
I don't like that phrase simp. Why do we keep using it?
gave thought to the matter. Her name was Aldonza Lorenzo.
It's fine.
Upon her he thought fit to confer the title of Lady of his Thoughts. And after some search for a name...
Put that on your business card.
out of harmony with her own, and should suggest and indicate that of a princess and great lady, he decided upon calling her Dulcinea del Toboso, she being of El Toboso, a name to his mind musical, uncommon, and significant, like all those he had already bestowed upon himself and the things belonging to him. Chapter 2, which treats of the first sally the ingenious Don Quixote made from home. These preliminaries settled, he did not care to
If you don't have homemade Sally's, store-bought is fine.
thought of all the world was losing by his delay, seeing what wrongs he intended to right, grievances to redress, injustices to repair, abuses to remove, and duties to discharge. So, without giving notice of his intention to anyone, and without anybody seeing him, one morning before the dawning of the day, which was one of the hottest of the month of July, he donned his suit of armor, mounted Rocinante with his patched-up helmet on, braced his buckler, took his lance, and by the back door of the yard sallied forth upon the plain in the highest contentment and satisfaction at seeing with what ease he had made a beginning of his grand purpose. But scarcely did he find himself upon the open plain when a terrible thought struck him, one all but enough to make him abandon the enterprise at the very outset. It occurred to him that he had not been dubbed a knight, and that according to the law of chivalry he neither could nor ought to bear arms against any knight, and that even if he had been, still he ought, as a novice knight, to wear white armor, without a device upon the shield, until by his prowess he had earned one. These reflections made him waver in his purpose, but his craze being stronger than any reasoning, he made up his mind to have himself dubbed a knight by the first one he came across, following the example of others in the same case, as he had read in the books that brought him
His
to this
craze being stronger than his reason
armor. He
is a
resolved on
pretty good
to
phrase.
scour his until it was whiter than an ermine. And so, comforting himself, he pursued his way, taking that which his horse chose. For in this, he believed, lay the essence of adventures. Thus setting out, our new-fledged adventurer paced along, talking to himself and saying, "Who knows but that in time to come, when the veracious history of my famous deeds is made known, the sage who writes it, when he has to set forth my first sally in the early morning, will do it after this fashion. Scarce had the rubicund Apollo spread o'er the face of the broad spacious earth the golden threads of his bright hair. Scarce had the little birds of painted plumage attuned their notes to hail with dulcet and mellifluous harmony the coming of the rosy dawn, that, deserting the soft couch of her jealous spouse, was appearing to mortals at the gates and balconies of the Manchegan horizon, when
In English,
the
Don.
renowned knight Don Quixote of La Mancha, quitting the lazy down,
I
mounted
do like
his celebrated steed Rocinante,
I do like the read here. I like the
ancient and famous Campo de Montiel.
sometimes I have trouble with reads because they're like, hey,
Happy the
uh
age, happy the
they're sort of like monotone, but this one is just like, no, I'm giving you,
known my deeds of fame, worthy to
you
be
know,
molded in brass, carved in marble,
it's like it's
lined
not necessarily a full on character voice, but it is like
forever.
emotional character voice, you know? Just like, oh no, this is how he hears himself. That is the character that I am reading for, is the way he hears himself. And that's good.
Wondrous history. Forget not, I entreat thee, my good Rocinante, the constant companion of my ways and wanderings. Presently he broke out again as if he were love-stricken in earnest. Oh, Princess
He is just like
Dulcinea,
talking to himself and his horse about the lady he made up,
grievous
right?
wrong hast thou done me. to drive me forth with scorn, and with inexorable obduracy banish me from the presence of thy beauty. O lady, deign
Lady.
hold in remembrance this heart, thy vassal, that thus in anguish pines for love of thee. So he went on stringing together these and other absurdities, all in the style of those his books had taught him, imitating their language as well as he could, and all the while he rode so slowly, and the sun mounted so rapidly and with such fervour, that it was enough to melt his brains if he had any. Nearly all day he
If.
travelled without anything remarkable happening to him, at which he was
Oh, that
vexed,
sounds like the dream.
for he was anxious to encounter some one at once upon whom to try the might of his strong arm. Writers there are who say the first adventure he met with was that of Puerta La Pisa. Others say it was that of the windmills, but what I have ascertained on this point, and what I have found written in the annals of La Mancha, is that he was on the road all day, and towards nightfall his hack and he found themselves dead tired and hungry, when, looking all around to see if he could
I
discover
like this technique of
shanty,
inventing a new kind of guy and then saying that other people have written about him too, but they're all losers and suckers who don't know what they're talking about.
guiding him to the
Oh,
points
man.
of his redemption, and quickening his pace, he reached it just as night was setting in. At the doors,
I feel like I'm settling into a pretty good, like,
district, as they call them, on their way to Seville, with some carriers who had chanced to halt that night at the inn. And as, happen what might to our adventurer, everything he saw or imagined
there is a course around this neighborhood, and I feel like I'm
what he read of
starting to settle
the
on it.
moment he saw the inn, he pictured it to himself as a castle, with its 4 turrets and pinnacles of shining silver, not forgetting the drawbridge and moat, and all the belongings usually ascribed to castles of the sort. To this inn, which to him seemed a castle, he advanced, and at a short distance from it he checked Rocinante, hoping that some dwarf would show himself upon the battlements, and
What?
by sound of trumpet give notice that a knight was approaching the castle.
Oh.
But seeing that they were slow about it, and that Rocinante was in a hurry to reach the stable, he made for the inn door, and perceived the 2 gay damsels who were standing there, and who seemed to him to be 2 fair maidens, or lovely ladies, taking their ease at the castle gate.
Ladies posting their eats. Sorry, gay ladies posting their eats.
Collecting a drove of pigs,
That's an Instagram hashtag, right?
gave a blast of his horn to bring them together, and forthwith it seemed to Don Quixote to be what he was expecting, the signal of some dwarf announcing his arrival. And so, with prodigious satisfaction, he rode up to the inn and to the ladies, who, seeing a man of this sort,
I
equipped in full
locked
armor and
my
with
brakes. That was bad.
were turning in dismay into the inn, when Don Quixote, guessing their fear,
Turned into the inn.
raising his pasteboard visor, disclosed his dry, dusty visage, and with courteous bearing and gentle voice addressed them. Your ladyships need not fly, or fear any rudeness, for that it belongs not to the order of knighthood which I profess to offer to anyone, much less to high-born maidens, as your appearance proclaims you to be. The girls were looking at him, and straining their eyes to make out the features which the clumsy visor obscured, but when they heard themselves called maidens, a thing
Ooh,
so much
la-di-da.
they could not restrain their laughter, and seeing Don Quixote wax indignant, and say, modesty becomes the fair, and moreover laughter that has little cause
It's okay.
is great silliness. This, however, I say not to pain or anger you, for my desire is none other than to serve you. The incomprehensible language and the unpromising looks of our cavalier only increased the lady's laughter, and that increased his irritation, and matters might have gone farther if, at that moment, the landlord had not come out, who, being a very fat man, was a very peaceful one. He, seeing this grotesque figure clad in armor that did not match any more than his saddle, bridle, lance, buckler, or corselet, was not at all indisposed to join the damsels in their manifestations of amusement, but, in truth, standing
Manifestations in amusement. Aw.
he thought it best to speak him fairly, so he said, Signor Caballero, if your worship wants lodging, baiting the bed, for there is not one in the inn, there is plenty of everything else here. Don Quixote, observing the respectful bearing of the alcaide of the fortress, for so the innkeeper and inn seemed in his eyes, made answer, Sir Castellon, for me anything will suffice, for my armor is my only wear, my only rest the fray. The host fancied he called him Castellon because he took him for a worthy of Castile, though he was in fact an Andalusian, and one from the strand
Oh, I knew she had an Andalusian.
a thief as Cacus and as full of tricks as a student or a page. In that case, he said, your bed is on the flinty rock, your sleep to watch alway. And if so, you may dismount and safely reckon upon any quantity of sleeplessness under this roof for a 12-month, not to say for a single night. So saying, he advanced to hold the stirrup for Don Quixote, who got down with great difficulty and exertion, for he had not broken his fast all day, and then charged the host to take great care of his horse, as he was the best bit of flesh that ever ate bread in this world. The landlord eyed him over, but did not find
That was my senior superlative in high school.
And putting him up in the stable, he returned to see what might be wanted by his guest, whom the damsels, who had by this time made their peace with him, were now relieving of his armor. They had taken off his breastplate and back-piece, but they neither knew nor saw how to open his gorget, or remove his makeshift helmet, for he had fastened it with green ribbons, which, as there was no untying the knots, required to be cut. This, however, he would not by any means consent to, so he remained all the evening with his helmet on, the drollest and oddest figure that can be imagined, and while they were removing his armor, taking the baggages who were about it for ladies of high degree belonging to the castle, he said to them with great sprightliness, Oh, never surely was there knight so served by hand of dame, as served was he Don Quixote hight, when from his town he came, with maidens waiting on himself, princesses on his hack, or Rocinante, for that, ladies mine, is my horse's name, and Don Quixote of La Mancha is my own. For though I had no intention of declaring myself until my achievements in your service
Broke a tire.
had made me known, the necessity of adapting that old ballad of Lancelot to the present occasion has given you the knowledge of my name altogether prematurely. A time, however, will come for your ladyships to command and me to obey, and then the might of my arm will show my desire to serve you.
You gotta keep your god hand strong. That's what he's saying.
Used to hearing rhetoric of this sort, had nothing to say in reply. They only asked him if he wanted anything to eat. I would gladly eat a bit of something, said Don Quixote, for I feel it would come very seasonably. The day happened to be a Friday, and in the whole inn there was nothing but some pieces of the fish they call in Castile abedejo, in Andalusia bacallao, and in some places curadillo, and in others troutlet. So they asked him if he thought he could eat troutlet, for there was no other fish to give him.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out because, like,
Said Don Quixote,
the cultural osmosis I had about Don Quixote was that, you know, I think I can I think I can turn down the stereo in my car here. Let's put that on pause. Like yeah, the thing that I had always like heard or understood or whatever about Don Quixote was that it was a story about a guy who was delusional and was just like it was some sort of like cautionary tale against slowing your roll, something like that. I don't know. But like I guess my assumption had always been like that like this story was sort of like told by some sort of neutral narrator who was just like, yep, and then he did this stuff, and then he thought he was doing this, but actually it was this, and whatever. But like, and then sort of like, but like, sort of presented neutrally, but then uh the lesson to take from it is, this guy is delusional, right? um uh, uh, Maybe base yourself in reality, lest you invent monsters and make a fool of yourself, right? I guess was the moral I always assumed was there. But like, listening to what we have so far, like the book is like, yo, check out this dude. He is delusional. This book is make up a guy and then retweet him in order to dunk on him. That is what this book has been so far, and I don't know how I feel about that so far. But just also like, I'm looking. One of these will be okay. I think I see it. One of these will be the stupid driveway that we start at. I don't actually know where that is. I pull out of it every time, but I don't know where it is to go home and park. Um, but yeah, like so far this book is like presenting this dude as this like yo, he read too many comic books and now he went crazy, son. Like that is what this book is. That's how this story is like portraying the narrative. But like, is this it? Oh, yeah, this is it. Um, I don't know. That seems like first of all, it seems a little unfair to dunk on a guy you just made up, right? Okay, but also like I've I guess my since my assumption had been like, you know, uh 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 cautionary tale of don't be like this guy. Um, but like, presented neutrally, but then you take that lesson by reading it and see how he is treated. But so far, like, he is presented as ridiculous, but the way that he is treated is like he is just like regurgitating, like he is fascinated by it, and he is like, this is how I want to act, and he is going for it, and like he's not totally idiotic so far. Like the idea of like, it's like, no, I need to make armor. Yeah, I know I had to, the armor wasn't what I was expecting, so I made a bit of it out of cardboard, but let me test it. Oh, that broke? Yeah, let me fix that. So like he's like he's being rational, just, and then only like stopping when he's just like, no, if I keep being rational, I won't be able to live in this fantasy that I want to live in, so I'll stop now. um but like he just went to this inn, and like this thing, I think it's kind of unfair that the narration is presenting it as like, oh, he mistook this inn for a castle, and it's like, I don't think he's mistaking it. I think he is finding what he wants to find in it, but like as sort of like a conscious choice. Like he is like consciously making a good mapping. He's not mistaking, and he's calling the women not damsels, but like the madam, whatever it was. I've already forgotten because it's words. Um, and he's like, and they're kind of like laughing at his ridiculous, but then the owner comes out and it's just like, oh, this guy is kind of crazy. But he's acting respectfully, and he's, sort of like being overly nice to us, so what if I be overly nice to him too? And like, so it's this weird thing where like, yes, he's being ridiculous, and he is he he he's your friend who comes back from England with a British accent all of a sudden, except he's your friend who read so many like Spider-Man comic books that now he wears the Spider-Man suit underneath his school clothes because just in case. Listen, I all it takes to be Spider-Man is you got to be a good dude. Spider bite thing, but don't worry about that. But with knights, right? Like, but like what it's presenting is just like because it's nice and because it's chivalry. Like so far, like he is being ridiculous, but things are kind of working out for him, and it's just like people are like, oh, he's being so ridiculous, but he's all right. So like so far, I am not seeing it as like a cautionary tale. It's just the book is saying, look at how ridiculous dude is, but it's like I don't know. It seems to be going all right so far, right? Like it's like yeah, they're laughing at him a little bit, but it's just like they're starting to play along, and I don't think there's like a fight yet or anything weird. So it's just like how much longer is it going to feel like maybe the moral is going to be actually follow your dreams and be the weird true yourself that you want to be, and things will turn out all right. If you're being chivalrous, maybe that's a part of it. Listen, um hey, I pulled my car back in the garage, and I'm gonna call that finished driving for the night. um so this was a pretty cool second one of these streams. We'll say that these are like still prototype streams because trying more stuff. um Honestly, I would maybe just do 10 laps of the highway driving next time and just do 2 hours of just straight of just that, and then that's that. That wouldn't be bad. It was nice earlier when we had more chatting. We've all been much quieter the second half, myself included. But with that being said, making this all nothing to be sorry for. Like I have to work hard to be chatty like this. So if this stream is just like a weird listen along and also I'm going to play my racing game, like that's fine. Honestly, that's kind of rad. Um if you enjoyed hanging out, I also enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it too, then hey, that means this is all a huge success and that's awesome, and maybe we lean into it. Maybe we come up with other ideas. Listen, I did my bit. I'm doing fine. I did like 3 bits. Um Listen, I will say the the break lasted a few minutes longer than I thought it would, because I actually went and found these these food trucks on the repository. Let's get some daylight. I had not. I had to wait for these to download. I have not looked closely at them. Uh, but there's some variants. These are very shiny. And what do we got? What do we got here? Hit the van for free food. Oh, interesting. Um, but now I have these, and it made the bit work, and we can play with these in the future. Um, turn these on. I left them off because why waste gas? And also, the thing on the top doesn't seem to be attached, which may be my favorite part about them. So I can't wait to do more bits with these food vans in the future. Um, y'all can't see this. I'm tired too. Here, what I was saying was I had to download these food vans during the break. So we were all waiting on that. Um, and then my favorite thing about them is that the little burger bit on top hangs on pretty well, but doesn't seem to actually be attached. That's what I'm saying my favorite part of this is. Oh my gosh, I forgot to change scenes. Hey, listen, this is fine. Um, we'll have fun with these a bit more next time, I think. Um, but for now, thank you everyone for hanging out. Uh, and you don't have to go home but you can't stay here. And if I can make a recommendation, you can go to bed. You don't even have to go to sleep, but like just like going to bed and hanging out in bed, like with your Switch or something like that. That is a way to spend an evening. You know what I'm saying? Keep the burger challenge. Oh my god, that totally is a thing. Okay. Thank you. Just let me know what we're doing next time, and it's a keep the burger challenge. Well, so okay. Let's call us a little bit of a preview. Uh, but nope, cars. Like these are no, that's the wrong one. Sometimes it adds extra stuff that it doesn't tell you about. So as far as I know, it's all the stuff in the vans. Um, but we got a hot dog van, we got a bacon van, taco van, this burger van where it's just buns all the way up, chicken van, cookie van. Ooh, the big hat is very good. Um, Bud fit don't. We got options, is what I'm saying. The Wild Hunger Hunter. What's different about it? Oh, this one is got street tires. This one has the off-road kit. Okay, interesting. Let's talk about Hatman. Do we think that the hat is connected? I don't think the hat is connected. Oh my god, it also has a mustache. And a Oh, the mustache is connected? Barely? Oh, this is a good pack. This is a good pack. Whoops. um, right. Uh, hey, thanks for hanging out, everybody. It's wonderful having you here. Um, I'm gonna go to bed. Take it easy. Have a wonderful rest of your night and a good tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.
Welcome to Newgrounds Radio. Visit us at newgrounds.com/radio.